Drop shotting, guys, winter, deadly combination. Drop shotting is a very, very good way to catch fish in the wintertime. And I'm just going to show you a couple of baits. I'll show you my drop shot rig, and you guys can get out there and try it if you want to, and hopefully you guys will catch more fish this winter. In terms of the setup, I'm using a Pesca drop shot shaky head rod, which is a spinning rod. I've got that spooled with a high visibility yellow braid, 20 pound. And the reason for that, super thin, very long cast, but also the high vis yellow allows me to see the most subtlest of bites. Fishing 20 foot of water, 25 foot, 15. Those are the kind of depth zones that I'm working in. And having good visibility, I haven't got the best eyesight, but having nice visibility of your main line, which is the braid, can really sometimes be the difference between, you know, setting the hook on that fish and missing that fish a lot of times. To that, I do alternate my leader line. Predominantly, I'm using a 12-pound leader, which might be heavy for some, but we are fortunate down here in KZN, fishing around big fish, fishing around trees and cover in the depths, and that Seaguar Abrasics 12-pound seems to be the winner for me. So that's what I use most of the time. If there's not a lot of cover around, if I'm just fishing on the bottom, rock piles and things like that, I might go all the way down to a 10-pound Tatsu and 10-pound Invisics, something like that. But obviously when it comes to fishing lines, chaps, whatever you can afford, the best that you can afford. I mean, I think that it applies to pretty much a lot of things when it comes to bass fishing, you know. Just get the best fluorocarbon leader that you can afford. So straight from my rod, obviously this is my leader line. And I actually put a swivel on here, guys. I put a swivel onto my drop shot. And the reason for that is after hours and hours of casting and winding back to the boat and your bait spinning, you can get a lot of line twist. That line twist where your line's wrapping around the guards. If you've got a very long leader, it's even worse. It's not too bad on the braid, but yeah, on the combination, if you put that swivel there, it solves all your problems. So that's my leader line. I've got my swivel, and then I've got my drop shot hook here. This is a hook that I love to use. It's a straight shank hook. It's a mustard hook. Let me show you this guy. It's a mustard grip pin edge. That's what it looks like there. Okay, this is a 4.0. And the reason it's a 4.0 is because I'm fishing this new bait. It's a net bait, flat-sided shad. You can see why it's called a flat-sided shad. You can see how narrow that is. So this thing's got an exceptional action in the water. It's got an incredible action. Looks really, really good. And you can see that hook fits very nicely into that. So that's why I've gone for that. I'm fishing the biggest one in the range. I don't think you always need to, in a finesse technique, you don't always need to throw the smallest plastic, but there are 3 sizes available. So you can alternate that. Now obviously with each, I'll show them to you now, you'll change your hook size, you know, to suit the size of the plastic that you're going to be fishing. So that's why I'm throwing the 4.0. It's because I'm throwing the 5.5 inch, the biggest one that there is. A very nice bait. So we'll get into that. Let's deal with the bait. So this is how it comes in the packaging. Net bait, flat-sided shad, right? It does come in molded packaging, so it comes straight every time. Let me pop it out for you guys. So that's essentially what your packaging is. Molded packaging, everything sits in there perfectly, ready to go. What's great about net bait is that it's infused with bait fuel. You guys can check this out online. It's infused into the plastic now. So net bait's just up their game big time with the innovation of bait fuel and infusing it into the plastics. Check out some videos on this stuff. So that's the 5.5 inch size, like I mentioned. Let me show you the other sizes. Okay, so I've shown you the 5.5. This is the 4.5. So that's just a size down, also a different color, also a very nice color. This is called Shiner. And I'll be putting the 3.0 hook into this one. Let me just show you a comparative size between the two. So there's the 5.5 and there's the 4.5. The Shiner is actually a wild color. I'm not sure if you can see that there. That's the one side of it. And there's actually a shimmer on the other side. Really, really nice. So when that drop shot's on the bottom and you're just holding it in position, you know, it's similar to shaky head fishing. You cast it out technique wise, you get it onto, like you can feel that crunchy rock or something, and you just leave it there, and you really want your weight to be sitting on the bottom. And you're just jiggling it around, and when you're jiggling this sucker around, you know, it could be those winter bluebird skies, clean water scenario, hasn't been a lot of rain, you know, that the action, and then obviously the shimmy of that, the flash in that, really nice deal. So that's also quite exciting. And then we go to the super finesse size, which is a 3.5 inch size. There I'd be using the 2.0 Mustad finesse hook. It's a grip and edge finesse hook. Comes in that same packaging again, just perfectly straight, guys. You want to get value for your money, hey? And then just a size comparison again between my 5.5 and the 3.5. You can see significantly smaller. So that's going to get snaffled. So obviously, chaps, I mean, that would be perfect with a little nose hook. You could fish any of these with a nose hook. But the reality we have in the areas, well, that I'm fishing, if we look at you know, fishing down at Ananda, on some of those points, there's timber down there. Fishing on some of the foundations, there's timber around there. You know, our dams dropped, trees grew, shrubs, branches, whatever, and the reality is it's down there. So, you know, that's, guys get despondent when you keep getting stuck, and that weedless technique's definitely going to help you. So for the guys that are fishing maybe areas that don't have that, you know, a nose hook would be perfect. That fish just inhales any of these sizes, any of these baits, just inhales it, boom, and that hook goes through the top. So maybe I can show you a couple of hooks as well that we use for that, so I'll get to that just now. So yeah, that's the three sizes in the bait. Like I said, it gives off a tremendous action. It's also got these ribs on it which give a natural feel, but the action really is good. Your hook penetration is very good because, you know, there's not a lot of plastic here. You know, it's that flat design. So I'm really happy with this bait. I've caught some really good fish on it, and I hope to get some video footage to you guys so that I can show you what it looks like in action. Chaps, in terms of your drop shot weight, a lot of times I prefer to use the cylindrical drop shot cylindrical weight. This one happens to be the Boom tungsten, so this is a tungsten weight. They are not cheap. We know tungsten's not cheap at all, guys. So you can use the lead ones as well. Why would I use tungsten? Tungsten, obviously the weight is smaller, but it's a lot harder. So if you are fishing rock, you know, this is going to make a sound, whereas your lead is very dull. So it's just, yeah, I think sound is one of the elements, and obviously the size. You know, the size of this to come through rock, come over rock, to come through trees, etc. The smaller size, you know, that's going to help you a lot. Whereas your lead weights, this is a 1/4 ounce size. You know, it's the size of your weight is going to depend on the depth that you're fishing predominantly, but this 1/4 ounce in lead is going to be double the size. That might not be an issue for a lot of people, and that's fun, but double the size, I've got to try and bring it through those same trees, those same rocks, so my propensity to get stuck more with lead is potentially higher. Okay, so that's just one of the reasons. If you can afford tungsten, go for it. If not, caught hundreds of fish on a drop shot using a lead weight. It does come in a round one as well. Round tends to be a bit better over rocks. It kind of doesn't fall in and get stuck. It does, however, tend to get hung up in the trees and the V's of trees and stuff like that. It can wrap around a bit. So, you know, yeah, give it a bash and see what works for you. One tip, guys, when it comes to putting on your drop shot weight, whatever weight you decide, whether it be lead, tungsten, whether it be cylindrical or round, is just to take the end of your drop shot line and you just tie. Some people call it a granny knot, some people call it an overhand knot, or what's the other knot for it? A half hitch, I think some of the guys call it. But it's just a normal overhand knot, and then you stick it through the weight like that, and then you just get the knot through and you snag it up. Now the purpose of this is, if this weight does get stuck in a rock, I don't want to lose my entire rig. I don't want to lose my hook, I don't want to lose my plastic and my swivel. I just want it to break off at that knot, and all I have to do, particularly in a tournament situation, obviously a cost-saving situation as well, so all I want to have to do is just quickly do another small little knot, put my next weight on, and I'm ready for the next cast. Okay, so that's why I do it that way. If you tie it on, it's kind of not the weakest point. This makes it the weakest point, and 99 times out of 100 it's going to break off there, and you just need to replace your weight, and you back in the game, casting again. Another thing that happened at this past weekend at Albert Falls is, it wasn't a huge fish. I think it was like a 1.4 or 1.14, I can't remember, but I actually got hung up on the way back to the boat, and it was hung up for a while, and then it came loose. And when we got the fish into the boat, into the net, the weight had actually gone. It was gone. So I suspect what happened there is that weight actually got caught in the shrub or the tree or the rock or whatever, possibly, most likely trees, let's be honest. Fighting the fish back to the boat, that weight's traveling on behind, hooks onto a tree and gets stuck. The fish is, I'm still fighting the fish and now I'm fighting the tree. There's the weak point, breaks off, fish in the boat, job done. If this thing's tied, I'm not sure now where the weakest, where the weakest point is in this entire rig. Whereas at this point in time, I'm pretty convinced that little knot up on that little wire, because it's quite a sharp wire, I'm convinced that that's where it's going to break first, and that put a fish in the boat this weekend. Chaps, in terms of fishing, when you're fishing more sparse cover where there's not trees and stuff around, and you're fishing a rock pile, you're fishing maybe some foundations, some points, rocky points at Ananda that don't have trees on it, any venue around the country, you're fishing for smallmouth in Clanwilliam, and you're fishing on those rock piles down there in deep water, 25-30 foot of water, and you're not concerned about any trees. There's just simply no tree. The fish are relating to rock piles and bait fish on those rock piles. Then my first choice really is a nose hook, drop shot hook. Okay, this particular one is the Trocar drop shot hook. It's one of them in the range, and I'm just going to take this plastic off here. And very simply, chaps, if you don't know, that'll be on your drop shot rig, and you just take your flat-sided shad and you can just go straight through the plastic like that, and that's going to give a ton of action. I mean, you can well imagine, if you've got a 4-0 hook to there, your action kind of starts only on the back side. But if you've got a nose hook, this thing's free swinging, irrespective of any size, whether you're fishing the 3.5, the 4.5, or the 5.5, you're going to get mad action. So if you can get away with that, that's what you want to be doing. And obviously from hook penetration, I mean, the fish just got to inhale that and it's on. You don't have to really pay too much attention to set the hook on that. That Trocar hook's going to go straight in every time. So if you can get away with it, that's how you're going to fish it. There's a few ways guys rig it differently as well. They kind of bury the hook point inside the plastic like that to make it a bit more weedless, but you still have got the issue of getting snagged. So you can check that out and play around with it. I like to keep it simple. I'm either going nose hook with a Trocar. You also get these Eagle Claw, the laser sharps, but more budget friendly. There's mustads, there's Trocars, like I say. I'm doing one or the other. I'm doing weedless or I'm doing the nose rig hook, and I like this one as well. It's got quite a direct straight shank on it. So I like that hook. Another bait, a finesse bait in the net bait range would be the lollipop. It's a 3.5-inch bait. Let me show you this guy. Also, guys, in that same packaging, straight every time, perfect. This color is wild. This color is called Smalley Dew. Smalley Dew. So I think smallmouth dogs on this sucker, I think, is going to be an absolute treat. There as well, I wouldn't go, if I have to go weedless, I'd go with a 2.0 mustard grip and edge finesse hook. Oh wow, it's very nice. Alternatively, if I can get away with that nose hook, I'm going to nose hook this sucker. So it's got a bit of a curvature on the back. You can see very finessey type bait, and then it's got the flat side on the back or the bottom. I would personally rig it that way with a nose hook through it. It's got the flat side on the bottom, the curved part on the top. But you can see I can hardly hold this thing still without it moving. So you can well imagine that for me as a drop shot bait, that's going to be really good. Just holding it in position, cast it out, get down to the rock. There's a fly. Cast it down, get it onto the rock that you're fishing, or the timber or whatever that you're fishing down there, get it onto the cover, and you just got to move that around. You don't even need to move your weight. You can just leave it in position. When you feel that rock or that foundation or whatever's down there, you just let it sit there and you just move that sucker around. That thing's going to get bit. It's also got like a shimmer to it. So this is a really nice color, Smalley Dew. Check that out. I'm sure that's going to be really good. Nice clean water color. It's got that bit of shimmer, a bit of shine to it. Laminate type colors. A lot of guys might know it. It's just got a different belly color than it does to the back. I think, to its back. So it's really nice. And obviously, guys, what is important about this technique is because you're soaking the baits. It's the same as a drop shot, same as a shaky head. Because you're soaking the baits, I think that's really where something like bait fuel comes into play, because it's sitting in position for so long. So if there's a fish close by and you can pick up on that scent on that attractant, it's going to bite it. It's very different than if you're pitching or fishing something quickly, you know. Then it's a little bit debatable. But when it comes to scents or attractants, when it comes to bait fuel or a product list like this that's infused with bait fuel, if you target fishing, so you're repeat casting a drop shot and you're soaking a bait, that's, to me, common sense tells me that's going to be the best opportunity, or that's where bait fuel and these net baits are going to really, really shine, is where you're soaking those baits. The bait's sitting in position for a long period of time, and you're making repeated casts to that same rock pile, that same cover. So I think that can make a significant difference. So that's just something to bear in mind.